Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. Prodigy Bowlers Tour welcomes you to episode 131, the 2022 Kansas City Open October Points Tournament, Division I Finals. Today, 5 players will compete head-to-head in a stepladder format where a player will keep advancing as long as he keeps winning. In our opening match, the number 5 qualifier, Tashawn Clark of Kansas City, Missouri, will face our 4 seed, Colby Lovegren of Lenexa, Kansas, who's coming off a win in last month's KCO. The winner of that match faces our 3 seed, PJ Dokalis of Olathe, Kansas. That winner will advance to match 3, where he'll face our number 2 qualifier and last month's runner-up, Nolan Nash of Greenwood, Missouri. And that winner will bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Antonio Miranda of Shawnee, Kansas. Those are our 5 finalists in the championship round today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. We've traveled north of the Missouri River, which separates Kansas City from North Kansas City, to Gladstone, Missouri, and Gladstone Bowl, home of one of the better youth programs in the Kansas City Metro, thanks to the tireless work of the center's youth director, Jamie Hayes. A stellar field of over 100 youth bowlers went to the starting gate this morning. In Division I alone, 21 youth athletes showed up to show out. And after 2 squads of qualifying that began early this morning, the field has been winnowed to just these 5. As you can see, Antonio Miranda got off to a fast start in the morning block, firing games of 241, 239, and 244 for a 724 series, and he seized the early lead over Colby Lovegren and Nolan Nash. Joshua Oldham also made a strong early bid to get into the top 5 with a solid 643. But then in the afternoon block of qualifying, Antonio Miranda kept his foot on the pedal and fired another 700-plus series and opened up a lead of 77 pins over his nearest chaser, Nolan Nash. Scott Talley also put on a frantic closing bid, only to come up 20 pins short of making the show today, as Tashawn Clark fired a 680 his second set to grab that last spot in our stepladder. It's time for our opening match between the 5 seed, Tashawn Clark, and our 4 seed, last month's winner, Colby Lovegren. Colby also won the Heart of America Junior Classic last week, another tournament series that's held regularly here in the greater Kansas City area. So he's been on fire lately. I know he'd love nothing more than to keep his winning streak alive here today. But Tashawn is making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today, and he would no doubt like to make a positive first impression with everyone in Prodigy Land. So I expect these 2 will give us a very competitive match. Colby, being the higher finisher, had the option of which lane to start on and whether to start the match. He wants to lead off. That'll give him the opportunity to throw the last ball of the match. And boom! Solid strike to begin. You can see he's standing well left of center, playing about the 4th arrow, actually just a little right of it, out to about 8 or so, 7 or 8, and that's 10 back. Now, Tashawn Clark. He is playing right around the 4th arrow, maybe about 19. Four two-handers today. He'll go cross lane at the 10. Takes a plastic ball and shoots straight at it and covers the 10 pin, no problem. Tashawn is 16 and actually finished in the top 5 at this event in October 2021 last year in Division 3. So he has shown a lot of improvement in the last year. That ball came in just a little bit light, leaves the 2 pin. Routine spare, just move your feet about 3 or 4 boards to the right, throw it right over your strike target. He's going with a spare ball. And that'll work too. So a spare start for Tashawn. And now Colby, working on a strike, can open up a bit of a lead here if he can get another one in the second. But that was well wide of the mark. And clearly there's some oil in the middle of the lane. We bowl on the house shot at the KCO, but it's not an easy house shot because they've been bowling on it since 9 this morning. 4 squads of qualifying and now the step ladder. So we're on the burn. That's why everybody's playing well left of center. And Colby covers the 1-2-8, no problem. There is some oil on the lane, but you've got to move pretty far to the left to find it. Assuming you're a right-hander. We don't have any left-handers in the top 5 today, so you'll see almost everybody playing around the center of the lane, right around the 4th arrow, swinging it out to around 8 or 10 maybe, except for our one-hander, and he's playing in the track area. Colby gave it the big loft that time. We've talked about this on Prodigy before. Sometimes when you give it a little extra loft, you catch those finger holes on the upswing, you give it a little extra juice, and it overhooks on the back end. And that's what happened to Colby there. Sometimes players will give it a little extra loft to try to delay the hook, and they get the opposite reaction. But an easy spare covering the 6-10. And so that gives us a close match in the early going, just 1 pin separating these two. Tashawn's high game, 297. And I'll have to ask him one of these days what he left on that 12th ball. Well, that was well left of target. He looked away as soon as it left his hand. We'll get another look at it here. You'll see him look away. He knew it was left. There, it's hitting on the Brooklyn side. Look where that ball ends up. It goes off the pin deck over behind the 7 pin. But it's 10 in the pit either way, and he'll take it. Well, he laid that one down smooth. You couldn't even hear the ball hit the lane. And a solid strike for Tashawn. 4-step approach. He's a slider. And that would have knocked down tree trunks, I believe. Colby's got his hands full.
Yeah, I probably have to email myself too because I'm
Goes high. Players told me these lanes were really hooking. So they're going to be fighting keeping the ball off the nose all day. The 3-6, you want to go cross lane at this to cut down the angle, or you might chop the 3 off the 6. And you see that Colby actually hooked away and got it on the outside left, but a spare nonetheless. Boy, when even your spare ball is hooking, you know the lanes are pretty chewed up. Colby is 17, carries a league average of 215. And that's more like what he had in mind. A solid strike. We're on 15 and 16 today. Over about 18 at the arrows, out to about 8 at the break point. And that is as good gets. And Tashawn just stuffs him straight back. Crowded the head pin just a little bit, but playing a somewhat straighter angle on this shot. He's also about 18 at the arrows, but it doesn't get out as wide. And the speed kept that ball on line. That and the fact that he pulled it a little bit in the oil. It's set. But he just extended his lead to 23. Oh, look out. Well, at least he doesn't have the 4-6. This can be made, the 4-10. Put the ball on the left edge of the 4-pin and slide it across to get the 10. Show us a trick shot, Tashawn. Well, a little too much of the 4-pin this time. So an open frame. And that certainly tightens this match. It's now within a mark. And Colby, with a strike up in the 5th, can take the lead with a strike here in the 6th. He got that one so much wider, and it still just came back and went right through the nose. He threw that one 3 or 4 boards wider at the arrows, and it still hooked high. But there's a spare. And Tashawn's lead remains intact, 9 pins. Colby said it was his grandparents that got him started bowling. This young man has a 300 to his credit. His high series, 781. Pretty juicy. And once again, a little right of target at the arrows, and it just comes barreling back through, and he leaves the 6-10. He's already made this spare once in this match. Colby has made the top 5 in every one of our Kansas City Open bowl casts on Prodigy Bowlers Tour since we moved up here, at least all the Division I shows. And he has proven himself to be a fine spare shooter. And that will serve him well going forward. All right, Tashawn. Oh, look at that messenger. Tell the 10-pin, get out of here. Looked like that was going to be a light pocket half 10. Gets it over about 17 at the arrows. It doesn't quite get back, and you see how the ball deflects to the right. It was going to be a weak 10, but the head pin had other ideas. It comes across the deck to wipe out the corner 10 pin. Well, he almost missed the head pin on the left that time. And leaves the tricky 3-9. Now, I'm interested to see how he shoots this. He's picked up his spare ball, so he's going to go a little straighter at it. I prefer to see a strike ball used on double wood, but he covers it no problem. Nice shot. That spare ball, he got that so far to the right, I was afraid it wasn't going to come back, but he shuts my mouth. And it takes some doing to do that. Strike for Colby. That time he was right over the fourth arrow. I'm not sure if he moved his feet at all, but he found the line that time. It looks like he did move in a little bit farther. Right at 20 at the arrows, out to about 9 this time, and slaps out the 10. He needs to put another strike up here in the 9th to close this match down to just 1 pin. Oh, not quite. That time he was over about 21 at the arrows. And I think the ball just stayed in the oil a fraction longer before it made its turn. And it was a little late getting back. And so he leaves a weak 10. But covers it. Well, the situation is this. Tashawn is going at a 2:05 pace. Colby still has room for a 2:04 if he strikes out in the 10th. Ooh, man. He almost paid a huge price for really just a fractionally high shot. But it turns out the 9 goes out and Tashawn only leaves the 4. Now we've got a possibility of a tie. He covers the 4. So if Tashawn goes strike, spare in the 10th, he finishes with 2:04. Colby can punch out for 2:04. Oh my goodness. A stone 7. We don't see this one all that often, but watch the 2 pin. That's the 3rd one from the left. It's going to go to the left wall and then turn around and come back. Watch this. Right in front of the 7. You got to ask yourself, how did it miss the 7? But it did, and Tashawn can't believe it. Oh, no. Oh, no, no. Well, he's just opened the door for Colby now. Colby needs to fill 19. Now he's working on a spare, so he's got to watch his count on the first ball as well. Oh my goodness. That's got to be one of the greatest breaks you're ever going to see. Watch it again. If he gets 7 here, he loses. If he gets 8, the best he can hope for is a tie. He collapses out the 6, 9, 10. Obviously loves it. And with that strike, he can win the match right here. He needs 9 pins on the next 2 balls to claim match 1. Well, he's not done yet. He needs to get 2 of these, or all 3, to win the match. If he would happen to leave 2 standing, we'd have a tie. And in the unlikely event he would happen to whiff this completely and leave all 3, then Tashawn Clark would be the winner. Look out! Oh my goodness. He gets it by the hair on his chinny chin. Watch this. This ball almost hooks just a little too much. He's a little off balance at the line. And that 4-pin slides in front of the 8. But at least he got the 4. And that gives Colby a 193 to 192 win. By the narrowest of margins, it's Colby Lovegren who has won our opening match. And now he will face P.J. Dokalis in match 2 next. I know every bowling coach in the world talks about it so often that our students must surely get sick of hearing about it. But you just cannot stress enough the importance of spare shooting in tournament bowling. I know the modern game today seems to be focused on generating all the revs you can muster and making the pins scatter on your first ball of the frame, but matches, and indeed tournaments, are often won and lost on the second ball of the frame. And while Tashawn's missed 7-pin in the 10th didn't exactly seal his fate, it certainly gave Colby an opening that he could drive a truck through. And as it happened, he did just that, by the closest of margins. So it's Colby Lovegren who has advanced to match 2 to face our number 3 qualifier and the only one-hander in the field today, P.J. Dokalis. P.J. was himself the victim of a spare shooting breakdown when he whiffed a 10-pin in the 9th frame, opening the door for Colby Lovegren to get up and shut him out in the September KCO stepladder finals. So I gotta believe P.J. will be looking to dot all his I's and cross all his T's in this match. This 16-year-old will be playing more of a direct line than what we saw from the two-handers in the opening match. He'll be playing around 12 or 13 at the arrows, but he'll only swing it out to about 10 or 11 at the break point. A much, much straighter path. Oh, and look at that ball. Catching a little wall shot action out of the gate. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Looked like this ball didn't quite finish, but he'll send that head pin to the left wall, and he'll come back and get the 4, 5, and 7. Thank you very much. And you see how Colby is standing well to the left of where PJ is playing. Wow. It looked like Colby sent that one even farther to the right. But today, on this lane condition, it seems like the farther to the right you throw it, the more it hooks. Well, if you're throwing that much hook, you really got to be careful with the 3-6. He goes with a spare ball and hooks by it, but gets it on the left side. We saw that earlier in the opening match. These players are fighting these dry lanes like we haven't seen in a while on Prodigy. Maybe a house shot, but it ain't easy. As evidenced by that. He can't believe that didn't come back. He's shaking his head and obviously made an adjustment with his feet, moved his eyes a bit at the targeting area around the arrows, and that ball just sailed wide. The 1-2-4, got to be careful with this. But he makes short work of it. But a spare opening for Colby. And now P.J. Douglas will try his hand on the right lane. And that is dead, solid, perfect. Definitely worth a second look. 4-step approach, very straight, very direct. Up about 13 at the arrows, and boom. Pins have no chance when you hit them there. PJ's best junior gold finish, 42nd back when he was a U12. Pulled that one a little bit, maybe a board, but it's set up quite nicely. Watch this, he's going to hit about 14 at the arrows this time. It only gets out to about 13, maybe 12. Really testing the theory that straighter is greater. Colby back in the pocket that time, hoping for a little messenger action, but it just nudged the 10 and doesn't quite take it out, so he'll have to shoot it. He moves to the extreme left side of the lane, goes with a spare ball, right over the 4th arrow. Nothing to it. That's a pretty good angle for most people to play. If you've got a spare ball, just move up almost right up against the ball return if you're on the right lane and just throw it over the middle arrow. And that's going to get you right in the ballpark. There, that's the messenger action he was looking for on the last frame. We will definitely watch this one again. Watch the head pin, the one in front. It's going to go to the left wall and come violently back across the lane and just obliterates the 10 pin. The action you see on the pair to our right is Division 2, and we'll fill you in on how they do at the end of the show. Another perfect shot by PJ, and he's off to a blazing start. 4 in a row out of the gate. Watch this. Once again, right around 13. Can't quite make out the break point, but you got to figure he was right around 10 or 11. That's where he's been. He's perfect through 4 frames. Just a pinch high that time. Doesn't quite get the trip 4. He'll have to shoot it. But while your opponent is having a hard time stringing strikes like Colby is, that's when you want to put a little string together like PJ has done right out of the starting blocks. Jump on your opponent as early as you can. And now Colby's got to go to work in trying to chip away at this lead. He's got to strike up. So if he can strike on his next 2 shots in the 5th and 6th, he can get that lead down to a manageable amount. And that's a good one to start. Colby has aspirations of growing up to be an aerospace engineer. So the next time you tell somebody it doesn't take a rocket scientist, just say, it won't take Colby Lovegren to figure this out. Well, that one labors to get back and doesn't quite make the corner. And now he's left a tricky little spare, the 2-8. He's going to hook at this rather than go straight with a spare ball. I prefer that move on double wood. I mentioned that earlier. You want to hit right on the face or a little to the right of the 2-pin so that the ball can drive through. Just like that. You got to be careful, though. You don't want to hook past the center of the front pin, or you'll send it to the right of the back pin, and your sleeper will remain standing. That's no good. So PJ will go back to work and try to start another little string of strikes here. Just a little high again. Looked like he missed about a board to the right that time. These lanes are pretty touchy. If you get it into the dry out to the right, it hooks a lot harder. When you have that kind of situation, that's an over-under kind of condition we talk about occasionally. A stronger ball might tend to smooth that out, but he's had success with this ball, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I tell you what, if you are a right-hander, you better know how to make the 4-pin and the 10-pin, because you're going to leave more of those than any other spare in your bowling life. And if you're a left-hander, the 6 and 7. But PJ's not thinking about any of that. He wants to get them all down here. And he does, with as good a shot as you'll see. High flush, 10 in the pit. I have never seen PJ out of balance at the line. He can hold that pose all afternoon. Colby, it's time to go to work. He made a slight adjustment with his feet and his eyes. He threw that a little bit right of the 4th arrow. He's done that in the past, and the ball has hooked high, so he had to have moved left with his feet. And that just tore him apart. But he needs to string a few here to get back in this match. Well, you see, he tried that same tactic on the left lane, moved left with his feet and threw it a little farther to the right, and that lane was having none of it. It just sent the ball back more quickly, and now he's got the 6-7. Here's how you make it. Slide the 6 over into the 7. Ooh! He went for it boldly and didn't miss by much. Look at how close this was. What do you think? Half inch? 3/4 of an inch, maybe? But it's an open frame, and now PJ is in the driver's seat. And the plot thickens. PJ returns the favor, going through the nose, leaving the 6, 7, 10. Well, you shoot this the same way you would the 6, 7. The 10 pin is pretty incidental. The ball will get the 10. You slide the 6 across the lane. It's a beautiful thing when they can do it. And he went for it boldly as well. Both players just a little wide with their spare attempts, but PJ returns the open frame. So we're back where we were before with a 24-pin differential, but now we're down to the 9th and 10th. Colby Lovegren can shoot 210. PJ's going at a 214 pace. Leaves a weak 10. He was in this exact same position against Colby last month at the KCO. He left the 10 pin in the 9th frame and whiffed it. So he's going to take a little extra time and think this one through. He doesn't want to give Colby another chance to get him. And he covers it with ease. So Colby's just going to have to go to the whip here and strike out. If he can get to 210, he'll force PJ to fill 17 in the 10th. And you never know. There's the first one. That's as good a ball as he has thrown this match. Back over the 4th arrow, out to about 9. That seems to be the sweet spot. But now Colby Lovegren needs to unlock the mystery of this left lane. This is where he left the 6-7 a moment ago. He will no doubt move a little farther to the left with his feet, move his target at the arrows a little left, and hope he guesses right. Oh, that was right there and could have been a swisher, but 9 and a wiggle is all you're gonna get, young man, and with a conversion here of the 7, the best Colby can do now if he strikes on his fill ball is 190. And if he does that, PJ can win with a 4 count on his first ball. So a 9 count, that'll give him 189. So PJ's already sitting at 184 if he throws the next 2 shots in the gutter. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he won't do that. Just a guess. He needs 3 pins. And that is Lock City. PJ Douglas wins match 2. We'll take another look at the shutout ball. Throws this one over about 11 into the half pocket, snaps out the 10 pin. What's not to like? Tried a little something there. He gave it a little more turn, delaying the hook, and it didn't quite get back, so I suspect he'll shelve that idea for now. But a 214 to 189 victory for PJ Douglas. And looky. It's PJ Douglas who's moving on to match 3. He'll face last month's runner-up Nolan Nash next. In a one-game match, there's nothing quite like getting off to a fast start to put your opponent on the ropes. After PJ got out of the gate with a four-bagger and Colby didn't strike until the fourth frame, it put PJ in a commanding position and forced Colby into the uncomfortable role of being the chaser. And he just never was quite able to close the gap enough to put any pressure on PJ. So, PJ Douglas advances to match 3, where he'll now face our number 2 qualifier, Nolan Nash. Nolan finished second in last month's KCO points tournament, and he'd love to get past PJ so he could have a second crack at winning the title. But PJ Douglas has the kind of game that I would expect might stand up under pressure. We should be in for a close match. Both of these young men are 16 years of age, both with league averages just a few pins apart, but they're playing the lanes about as differently as you could imagine. Watch the loft that Nolan is putting on the ball. Ringing 10. He's lofting it like that to combat the dryness of the lanes. That extra loft will delay the hook as long as he doesn't catch the fingers too much on the upswing to cause it to overreact. And you notice on the spare shot he doesn't loft it as much, but he's using a spare ball that goes straighter. Lots of different ways to skin a cat in bowling. Part of the challenge is to figure out which combination of tactics work best for you. What is this? A right-hander leaving the 6, 8, 10? You so rarely ever see this. This is how you make it. But you'll almost never see this. You'll see a left-hander leave this, but not a right-hander. That is very strange. And that is very unfortunate. He just threw away a couple of pins in count by throwing that one in the moat. So Nolan off to a quick lead. I think I've seen a right-hander leave the 6-8 combination maybe twice in my life. But he comes right back with a strike. And that's what you got to do. Just forget about it and make your best shot. He's moved in a little bit. That ball didn't quite get back to the pocket, but he gets a wall shot, and that'll work. Nolan playing even deeper on the lane than Colby was. He's standing even farther to the left, playing about the same target. He's going to go right over the 4th arrow here. That's how far out on the lane the ball is before it hits the floor. Out to about 8. Hey, whatever works. And he shreds the rack with that one. And that'll get PJ's attention. 4-step approach. Little crossover first step. Out to the left with his second. He's a planter. That one hits about 21 at the arrows and just rips them apart. There's a solid strike by PJ. He moved a little left. Playing about the same target at the arrows. Watch this. Here he's going to hit about 12. Can't quite make out where it goes to the break point, but 10 in the pit. Can't argue with success. We're waiting for a re-rack a pin had fallen over, so he had to get a re-rack. And now we're ready to go. Oh, he made a little move to the left that time and managed to get the 10 to snap out at the last minute. Here's PJ's footwork. He's a four-stepper. Very straight approach, foot perpendicular to the foul line on his slide. And there goes the 10 pin last. There's the turkey. Ooh. He loved it when it left his hand. You knew that. But that 6 pin just whistles around the 10. And we call that the ring 10. Well, that's why they paint them. Watch how close this one comes. Oh, man. That was a 1/16 of an inch, if that. And he's right back in the pocket for another solid strike. So I would call that a successful trip to the lanes. He's a planter, not a slider. But can't do it any better than that. All right, PJ with a chance to take the lead for the first time in the match. But he just missed right that time. He just missed to the right. Here's the 2, 4, 5, 8, the bucket. You want to put the ball to the right of the 2 pin with your strike ball. Let it drive on through. The ball will get the 5 and the 8. The 2 will get the 4. Well, you can make it on the left, but it gets a little dangerous on that side. He gets away with it, though. Like a Brooklyn spare. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the action you see to our right is Division II, and at the end of the show today, we'll tell you how they did. PJ right back in the pocket, but that ball is not really finishing at the very end. Watch this, it kind of flattens out at the end. It's in that half pocket, and the 6 pin is going to lay down in the channel. See how the ball deflects? It's leaving the pin deck behind the 9 pin. That's what happens when you leave a 10 pin. It's not driving through quite the way you'd like it. No. He did that last month. And another missed 10 pin, and you can't be making those mistakes in the step ladder. So now Nolan with a strike up, with a golden opportunity to put some distance between himself and PJ. Oh my goodness, he almost had the 7-10. But the 10 goes out, he has just the 7. The psychology of match play is when your opponent gets an open frame, if you have an opportunity to put a double on him, that is the time to jump all over him. But that opportunity gone now. But Nolan covers the spare, maintains his 18-pin lead. And now he'll move back to lane 15. where he has thrown 3 solid shots. He left a ringing 10 in the first frame and has thrown 2 strikes there since. Oh, he loved that one as soon as it came off his hand. He started running it out. Here, let's take another look. You'll get to see him here. Watch, as soon as that ball leaves his hand, he'll start moving right. Oh, he knows it's good. And sure enough, bank it. PJ just a little high with that one, leaves the 4. Well, ever since we moved to Kansas City and started covering the KCO, some people have left comments on these videos that they're bowling on the house shot. It's just too easy. But we really haven't had more than maybe one really good score. I think our highest score so far has been maybe in the 250s, as I recall. It's not because these kids can't bowl. They're very accomplished. By the time we get to the stepladder finals, we're bowling on the burn. They run the lanes first thing in the morning before the first morning squad, and that's it for the day. 4 squads of qualifying, and then the stepladder finals. We're bowling on whatever oil is left over. And good luck. That looked like a pretty good shot. Just a little high. Tripped the 4, but it missed the 7. That's rather rare, I must say. Usually if you trip the 4, you get the 7 as well. But not to be. PJ gets the spare, though. But it remains a 19-pin match, and Nolan has an opportunity to leave PJ behind in a cloud of dust here. If he can put another couple of strikes up on the board. There's one. And you can't do it much better. Watch this big loft he puts on the ball. Way up in the air, right over the 4th arrow, out to about 8. That's about as good as you can do. Oh, and he's going for the light shaker, and the 7 won't go. Well, we've seen that a time or two today, haven't we? So the situation is this. Nolan going at a 218 pace. PJ can get to 210 if he strikes out. Nolan thought he'd hook past it. Saw him put his hands up on his head. He thought he had overhooked it. But he got it. PJ's back is to the wall now. He's got to finish strong. He needs a 4-bagger. Looked down at his feet like maybe he slipped or stuck at the line. But you gotta like the results. He was checking down to see if he fouled, but no. That was good. 3 more in the 10th for a 210. Oh, he thought that was going to go high, but it kind of flattened out at the very end. Watch this ball. It looks like it's going to hook high. And then it just stopped hooking. This is the most important shot of the match for PJ. If he strikes here, he'll force Nolan to mark. Well, he's done all he can do. That is coming through in the clutch. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but this is a good one. Right over 13 at the arrows, only out to about 11 at the break point. It's playing pretty straight, just skimming it off the inside of the oil line. And there's a 210. And that will force Nolan to mark in the 10th and get good count. Specifically, he needs to fill 13. The count shouldn't be a problem if he just keeps it in play around the pocket. But he can't be flirting with any splits here. Oh, a fast 8 turns into a slow 9. But he will take it. But he must make this 7-pin. If he were to happen to miss it, he'd finish with 206. And that'll come up short. So he's got to make it. And if you think this is automatic, remember in our first match today, Tashawn Clark got up in the 10th frame, hooked by the 7-pin, missed it, and it cost him his match. Oh! We almost had history repeat itself, but Nolan keeps the ball on the lane just long enough. I mean, there are 39 boards on the lane. Why not use all of them? He needs 4 pins here to win the match. And oh, by the way, stay behind the foul line. Just saying. There you go, another 7-pin. But it's just enough for a 216 to 210 win. And for the second month in a row, Nolan Nash is going to bowl for the championship on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. This time against Antonio Miranda. Hey Prodigy Land, it's me, Coach Randy. First, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to our GoFundMe campaign. You have helped us purchase our second camcorder, bag, tripod, and accessories that are enabling us to record not 1, but 2 stepladders simultaneously each month at the Kansas City Open, so we can bring you 2 episodes of Prodigy Bowlers Tour each month. There remains just one piece of equipment we haven't yet raised enough to purchase, and that's the platform upon which we stand the camera and tripod, thereby giving us that perspective from above the players' heads, so your view of the pins is unobstructed. On the next show, you'll see that we release later this month, we resorted to one of our old methods of getting the camera up high, by standing it on the countertop where people sit and watch the bowlers from behind. But those countertops aren't as stable as they might look. Whenever somebody sits down or gets up from one of the chairs, the countertop shakes just enough to give the viewers of the show the impression that we're experiencing an earthquake. And on an earlier episode, we had the camera on the floor, meaning on some of the shots the players threw, another player, or the player who threw the shot, actually blocked your view of the pins. If we can get the second platform, we'll have uniformity between the 2 episodes we shoot each month, and they'll both look as good as we can possibly make it. These platforms, made by IntelliStage, are an ideal solution. They're just the right height, and they isolate the camera just enough to make it less likely it'll get jostled, resulting in those shaky cam shots. With tax and shipping, these IntelliStage platforms run a little under $600. If you like what we do on Prodigy Bowlers Tour and would like to support it and help us keep delivering the high-quality show that you've grown to expect, please consider chipping in and helping us purchase that second platform. Go to www.gofundme.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour Camera 2 campaign. $10, $20, $50, $100. Every little bit helps. Until we get that second platform, we'll continue to do the best we can with what we've got. But please, help us crowdsource the cost of this platform, won't you? Visit www.gofundme.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour Camera 2 campaign and contribute. Thanks. Once again, we see a missed spare contribute to the undoing of one of the competitors, as PJ opened in the first frame, missing that peculiar 6-8-10 split, and then sliding past that 10 pin in the sixth frame when the match was still close. And then Nolan threw a key double in the seventh and eighth. That put PJ in a must-strike situation at the end. And even though he closed with a strong four-bagger to force Nolan to mark in the 10th, it still wasn't enough, as Nolan took care of his business. So the final tally of 2 opens for PJ and no opens for Nolan tilted the match in Nolan's favor. So it's Nolan Nash who advances to the championship match, where he now faces our tournament leader, Antonio Miranda, for the title. Antonio was the KCO points leader in the 21-22 season in Division I, having won 3 times last year at the points tournaments in September, January, and May. So Antonio is very familiar with the path to the winner's circle at the Kansas City Open. This young man is 17 years old and very smooth. Ball kind of quit on him at the end that time. If it had finished a little harder, I think that 8 would have gone, but it deflected slightly. Sent the 5 in front of the 8. That wasn't the classic stone 8. That was what I'd call the weak 8, or the soft 8. But nonetheless, it's an easy spare. And he takes care of it. No muss, no fuss. Well, I talked to Nolan before the match, and he told me he likes the look he's got. He likes lofting the ball like this, so he's very comfortable in this situation. Got that one a little left of the fourth arrow. That hit about 22, maybe 23. So it stayed in the oil a little bit longer down the lane. Didn't hook back. And he's left the choppable 2-4-5. See, a lot of amateurs play this down the right side of the lane. The pros play it down the middle, like this. Oh, he still chopped it, but gets the bounce out of the back. What a break to begin the match. That'll put a smile on his face. Watch this. The 2-pin hits the curtain and back and comes right back on the pin deck and backdoors the 5-pin. Thank you very much. He loved it. Well, when stuff like that happens, you got to figure it might be my day. Oh, he rips the rack with that one. And that'll let Antonio know he means business. Watch it again. He'll hit in the half pocket, and just everything moves over toward the 7-pin. Strong ball. Antonio with a strong ball. He throws it with moderate speed. These two, both two-handers, but playing the lanes very differently. Similar angle, but a very different approach. Look how Antonio just lays it down at the foul line, rolls it smoothly, and that ball just tears through the pins. Nolan, on the other hand, putting the big loft on it, getting some hang time on those, and getting good results. And look at that. He tilts out the 5 and 6. Watch this. This ball is just going to deflect a little bit off the head pin, and it'll catch right between the 5 and 6 and just tilts out both of them. Wow. Just enough power. Well, Nolan said he liked this shot that he's got. He sure looks comfortable throwing it like that. I'd pull something in my neck and back if I did that. Ah, to be young and full of frijoles. Oh, he's begging for it to stay right, but it's not listening. That time he caught the fingers on the upswing and it overreacted. When you loft it like he's doing, you gotta be careful and not overhook the ball. But he leaves an easy spare and covers it. You could tell from his facial expression as he came off the lane, he wasn't real happy with that one, but he knows he can throw it better, and we're still early in the match. Antonio has moved in a bit. That was a little left of the fourth arrow. He's playing a little more in the oil, and because he's throwing it with more moderate speed, it has a chance to get back. That's at about 22 at the arrows, out to about 10. And it comes back with some steam on it. Ooh. Well, just a little bit high, and he's going to pay the price here. Leaving the 4-9. Here's how you make it. You put the ball on the left edge of the 4-pin and just graze it enough to slide it over into the 9. This can be made. Just missed. I love his technique, though. If you're a two-hander and you can learn to throw it straight at spares, it'll make you a better player. But it doesn't pay off for him here. That hands the lead back to Nolan. The lane's starting to wear down even more. He's going to need to move left. That one hooks through the nose and he leaves the 3-6. Got to be careful with this one. He chops another one. He chopped one earlier in this match and got lucky when it bounced out of the back, but not to be this time. And so the lead goes back to Antonio. Spares, spares, spares. How many times have I said it? Crossing over. Not adjusting to the changing condition on the lanes. The lanes are always changing with each roll of the ball, picking up some oil off the lane. You got to move a little left to stay just inside the oil line. He's got the 6. And covers it easily. This match within a mark. Who's going to perform in the back half of this match? Oh, that one didn't look like it had enough juice. He had the 5-7 up. That ball was DOA. Dead on arrival. But watch the wall action. The head pin goes to the left wall and gets the 5 and 7 to go. Wow, what a break. Sometimes when the lane conditions force you so inside, it's hard to carry. He gets another wall shot. That's what that moderate speed can do for you. Here's Antonio's footwork, a 5-step approach. He's a planter. Played over about 23 at the arrows, only out to about 11 or 12. And gets the light shaker. Love it. Nolan has moved farther left. And man, you can't throw it any better than that. He can't believe he's having to throw it so hard. Watch this. In the air, those arrows are at the 15-foot mark. That's about 14 feet he's lofting it. And you want to talk about splitting the 8 and 9? That's how it's done. Needs one here to cut the lead to 8. He knew it was going to overhook. He was motioning, stay right, stay right. It didn't. And once again, double wood, you got to be careful that you don't hook past the center of the front pin. Goes with his spare ball. Just wanting to control it. That is a good conversion there. Getting late in the match. This is no time for mistakes. But now Antonio, with a double working, can really leave Nolan behind. But he goes through the nose and leaves the baby split, the 3-10. Here's how you make it. Put the ball on the right side of the 3. It will deflect over into the 10. What's most important is you play it from the left side of the lane. You see, the farther to the right of the lane you move, the wider the gap between the pins. Well, once again, that straight ball that he's able to throw two-handed doesn't pay off, but I still like the technique. He's still got the lead. And Nolan doesn't have a strike working, so Antonio, a strike here would mean that Nolan can't get up and shut him out. That was huge. He gets another light shaker. Watch it again. He's always in balance. That is so important. That strike was important too. Now Nolan's got to go to the whip. Oh no! Trouble. The 4, 6, 7. There's not much you can do with this. Now, he did bounce one out of the back earlier to convert a spare. He needs to bounce one out here. Just go for the 2, throw it hard, and hope something comes out and gets the 6. Not to be. It's about a 1 in 200 shot. So the situation is this. Nolan can strike out for 192. Antonio will need a mark if Nolan can strike out. But if he can't strike out, it's going to make his path to victory very difficult. Got to make this. All right. Well, it's still mathematically possible, but realistically, a strike here will give him 182, and then he'll just sit down and hope that Antonio gets abducted by extraterrestrials in the next minute or two. So it's a 181 for Nolan. Probably not going to be enough. Antonio just needs 6 pins, and he's got 2 shots to get it. And when you need 6, your best bet is just to go for all 10. And this 3-time winner on last season's Kansas City Open circuit has won his first title of the 2022-23 season here at Gladstone Bowl at the KCO October Points Tournament. And that leave there is academic. He's already got this one put away. Cover this for a 207 finish. All right, it's a 205 finish. But either way, it's a W. And Antonio Miranda makes a successful first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. You will meet him after this. That's 2 months in a row that Nolan Nash takes second place at the Kansas City Open on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And the first time Antonio Miranda takes top honors on Prodigy, although he's an old hand at winning the KCO. He won 3 of these last season. And now he takes the title in the second tournament of the 2022-23 season. I have a feeling there are several players that were on today's show that we'll see again on Prodigy in the months to come. But right now, it's time you get up close and personal with our winner. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Antonio Miranda. I'm here to read him as Miranda writes. Oh wait, that's not why we're here at all. We're actually here to congratulate him on winning the Kansas City Open Division I, October. Yes, you can give him a hand. Now, there's a tradition that goes along with winning on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, where you sign the coveted trophy pin. Colby did this last month. But Idiot Boy here walked out of the house this morning and left it. So I'm going to have to catch up with you at some future event and get you to sign it. But nonetheless, you will be invited to the Prodigy Tournament of Champions at the end of the year, where the winner will win the pin.
Sweet.
But tell us about you. Didn't you win at Lunar back in the spring?
I think so. I think, yeah, I did.
Yeah. I think that was the first one that I attended. We didn't cover it on the show, but I thought I saw you bowl that day. So, how old were you when you first started bowling? You started bowling like last week, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but I probably started bowling with like 13 or 14.
Really?
The freshman year before summer.
That's kind of late.
Yeah, the summer before freshman year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know. Still undecided.
Okay. Actually, the correct answer is I don't want to grow up.
That's true. I don't want to go.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. All right. Well, listen, you bowled great all day today. Number 1 seed. You send it off the challenger. You win it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, the players on the pair to our right today were contesting the stepladder finals in Division 2. And here's how they fared. In the opening match, the number 4 qualifier, Curran Stuck, got past the 5 seed, Landon Stoddard, by a score of 211 to 204. But then the 3 seed, Thomas Futrell, put an end to Curran's day, winning match 2, 235 to 211. Then Thomas kept it going, winning match 3 against the 2 seed, Bryce Isaacson, 239 to 213. And in the championship match, the number 1 qualifier held serve, winning the championship 228 to 220. So congratulations to Cole Darby and to our winner in Division 1 today, Antonio Miranda. On our next episode of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we'll bring you the championship round of Division 3 from the 2022 Kansas City Open October Points Tournament at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. And we'll also give you the results of the stepladders in Divisions 4 and 5. In November, the Kansas City Open visits Lawrence, Kansas, home of the KU Jayhawks, where we'll be at Royal Crest Lanes. For more information about the Kansas City Open or to download an entry form, visit www.kansascityopen.com. We'll see you later this month with our second show from Gladstone. Until then, this is Coach Randy saying, go get your bowl on.